On an elevating platform leading to a crane cabin, multiple workers rode upward as the platform slowly ascended. Suddenly, the top structure of the crane post failed, causing the entire platform to drop several meters in an instant. The workers were violently jolted, with one hanging on for dear life, but then was struck by loose framing from above. This incident highlights the dangers of structural failures in access systems. Crane posts and lifting platforms must be routinely inspected for fatigue or damage. Load limits should be strictly followed, and workers must use fall protection. Preventive maintenance and proper engineering checks are critical to avoid sudden drops and serious injuries. Inside a grocery store, a senile elderly man nearly fell over the side of an escalator after mistakenly stepping between the railing instead of onto the moving walkway. He dangled helplessly, gripping the rail while his wife desperately held onto his hands to stop him from slipping further. Bystanders quickly rushed in, pressed the emergency stop, and worked together to pull him back onto stable ground, preventing a serious fall. This incident highlights how confusing escalators can be for elderly shoppers. Clear floor markings, visible staff assistance, and quick public response are critical in busy retail environments. In a soon-to-open zoo, an electrician working on exposed wiring accidentally shocked himself through his hands, causing him to trip backward into nearby open water. Live electrical cables went in with him, resulting in full electrocution as coworkers rushed toward the scene. The sudden incident unfolded within seconds, turning a routine wiring task into a critical emergency, with water and electricity combining into a deadly hazard. This incident highlights the extreme dangers of performing electrical work near open water. Power sources must be fully isolated before work begins, and wet areas should be barricaded off. Proper grounding, clear work zones, and spotter supervision are essential to prevent fatal electrical accidents in construction and facility environments. In a rice field, a tractor stuck in deep mud was aggressively revved, causing it to tip over and crush its operator. In an attempt to get unstuck, the operator destroyed the machine and put his life in danger. The rollover happened within seconds, leaving nearby workers rushing toward the overturned machine as the operator lay trapped underneath. This incident highlights the dangers of over-revving heavy equipment when traction is lost. Operators should avoid sudden acceleration and instead use controlled recovery methods such as towing or stabilizing the vehicle. Proper training and rollover protection structures are essential to reduce the risk of fatal crush injuries during equipment recovery in unstable terrain. In a dental clinic, a woman about to enter grabbed the glass door handle when it suddenly shattered whole. The other side remained intact, but it collapsed inward, striking a dental assistant directly on the head. Broken glass was scattered across the floor, and the assistant was left stunned by the sudden blow. This incident highlights the dangers of poorly tempered or structurally compromised glass doors in public facilities. Safety glass must be properly installed and routinely inspected for hidden stress fractures. Door hardware should be securely mounted, and impact-resistant materials should be used to prevent sudden shattering and serious head injuries in clinics and other occupied spaces. On a provincial road during an electrical wiring repair, an out-of-control motorcycle suddenly veered into a ladder leaned against an electrical post, striking both the ladder and a standby worker beside it. The impact sends the worker who was on top crashing down to the ground below. This incident highlights the dangers of roadside work without proper traffic control. Active lanes must be barricaded, warning signs placed, and spotters assigned to manage passing vehicles. Securing ladders and establishing exclusion zones are essential to prevent sudden vehicle impacts from turning routine maintenance into serious falls. At a gas station, a worker climbed atop an oil tanker truck to inspect its interior. Suddenly, he lost his balance at the top and fell headfirst to the ground below. The impact was severe as he was not wearing any protective equipment other than a mere baseball cap, likely sustaining multiple concussions. This incident highlights the dangers of working at height on unstable or slippery surfaces, especially on vehicles carrying hazardous materials. Proper fall protection, secured ladders or platforms, and personal protective equipment are essential. Workers should never access elevated areas without safety measures in place to prevent life-threatening head and body injuries. During a transmission tower deconstruction, 2 workers were strapped to the top of the structure to begin dismantling it when the entire tower suddenly gave way. Both workers plunged from the great height, vanishing instantly in the collapse. The incident occurred within moments, demonstrating the extreme risks associated with high-altitude structural work. This incident highlights the dangers of deconstructing tall, unstable structures without proper assessment and reinforcement. Comprehensive structural evaluations, secure anchoring systems, redundant fall protection, and strict adherence to engineering protocols are essential to prevent fatal falls and ensure worker safety during transmission tower dismantling operations. On a road, a sanitation worker was cleaning a drained sewer through a manhole, with half of his back exposed above ground. Suddenly, a passing car failed to notice him and ran directly over his exposed back. The impact caused immediate injury, prompting his coworkers to rush to the scene and carefully lift him out of the manhole. This incident highlights the extreme dangers of working in active traffic without proper protection. Roads should be clearly barricaded, and warning signs or cones must be placed well in advance. Workers must maintain situational awareness, and traffic control measures are essential to prevent struck-by injuries during street maintenance operations. By a roadside bar, a group of friends were sitting and chatting when a speeding car suddenly lost one of its tires. The rogue tire flew off violently and struck one of the friends directly, hitting him with the force of a cannonball, knocking him and his plastic seat off. This incident highlights the dangers posed by poorly maintained vehicles on public roads. Regular vehicle inspections, tire checks, and maintaining safe speeds are essential to prevent parts from detaching and causing catastrophic injuries to bystanders. Vigilance and proper road safety measures are critical for both drivers and pedestrians. On a highway, a teenager riding a scooter attempted to move into the middle of the road when a passing 13-wheeler lightly bumped him. Recovering from the initial impact, he failed to notice the truck's rear wheels approaching and was tragically run over, flattened beneath them. The incident left bystanders and nearby drivers in shock as emergency responders were called to the scene. This incident highlights the extreme dangers of operating light vehicles in the path of heavy trucks. Awareness of blind spots, maintaining safe distances, and proper road positioning are critical. Traffic regulations, protective gear, and defensive riding techniques are essential to prevent fatal struck-by incidents on highways. At a quarry site, a crane was positioning a large sandstone block onto the back of a truck when the load suddenly disengaged. The massive stone slammed harshly onto the truck bed, destroying it completely and flipping the vehicle's front, narrowly missing a worker standing nearby. This incident highlights the dangers of lifting and placing heavy materials without proper load control. Cranes must be regularly inspected, loads secured with appropriate rigging, and workers kept clear of suspended materials. Strict adherence to lifting protocols and exclusion zones is essential to prevent crushing injuries in quarry operations.